And we continue at 1:05 in the afternoon on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wangs in Culver City.
John, I know the year is already getting close to being over, but I now have a new contender for my favorite drop of 2025.
You know, this has really been an issue for the city of Dumpy. Excuse me.
I wonder what the conversation was like the moment they hit the commercial break.
Don't trash the town.
Well, you have to have people listen to you and then act on it if that's going to work.
You know, this has really been an issue for the city of Dumpy. Excuse me.
800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. It is our pleasure to welcome our next guest to the program. He is the chair of chairs with the California Republican Party and with the San Francisco Republican Party. You can follow him on X at Real John Dennis. John Dennis, welcome.
Thanks for having me. Nice to be here.
Well, thanks so much for stopping by, because we are right now in the middle of the campaign for Proposition 50, which is Gavin Newsom's initiative to tear up the maps that were drawn by the Independent Redistricting Commission and replace it with maps that are a partisan gerrymander meant to benefit congressional Democrats and squeeze out a number of Republicans here in California so that Republicans are left with, I think it's 3 safe seats and the potential to win up to 5 total. And of course, Gavin Newsom says we need to rig these elections in order to preserve democracy. The polls have consistently showed Proposition 50 passing, albeit by small margins. Whenever you're in favor of a proposition, of an initiative, to sleep well, you want it to be over 60%. They haven't been able to do that with Prop 50 yet. It's somewhere in the 50s, which means things like the campaign and the amount of money that you spend, it's very important. According to the latest numbers that I have seen, the yes side has raised $136 million. The no side is lagging far behind with $79 million. Do you think at this point the no side has raised enough money to get the message out there? Or is this going to be another one of these examples of just the argument that's the stronger argument just gets overwhelmed by the other side because they just have so much more money to spend?
That's tough to say. I mean, I know that we in the Republican Party are working hard to turn out the vote, and you know, the air support that you get from the money is, of course, always helpful on the one hand. On the other hand, Republicans are pretty motivated to keep their congressional seats. So we've been a little slower in terms of Republican mail-in ballots than we would care to be at this point, on the one hand. On the other hand, there's a lot of buzz and activity happening right now, and Republicans have been trained for so many years to vote at the polls that we're actually expecting a pretty good turnout from the Republican side on Election Day.
When you look at the makeup of, let's just take the Bay Area, since that's where you are, for example, the interests of San Francisco are very different than the interests of Oakland. The interests of Oakland are very different than the interests of other East Bay suburbs. And certainly those rural towns in Northern California, as you get closer to, let's say, the Nevada border, they have very different interests than what's going on in the Bay Area. Right now, you have a map where San Francisco has Nancy Pelosi, Oakland has the old Barbara Lee seat, you have seats in the suburbs, you have seats in the rural areas. If Gavin Newsom gets his way, in order to get a Democratic gerrymander, you're not going to have communities of interest in these districts. You're going to take people from the North State. You're going to take people from way out in the boondocks near the Oregon border or the Nevada border, and then you're going to put them in a district where the population center is in the Bay Area just outside of San Francisco. From the point of view of just trying to get good government, let's just say you have a problem with the Social Security Department, the VA, whatever, and you are living in Lassen County and you're expected to go to an office in Marin to try to get your problem dealt with, what's going to happen is no one's going to be able to fix anything that's broken.
Yes, well, there's no case to be made that this is in the interest of Californians. The Proposition 50 might be in the interest, in fact, it is in the interest of Gavin Newsom's presidential ambitions, but it serves no one to have the people in Modoc County, which is the county in California in the upper Northeast that borders both Nevada and Oregon, to vote in the same congressional district as people in Sausalito and Marin County. And to, as you say, have the government seat for the congressional district down in Marin is a disaster, even for people who live in Del Norte. I mean, Del Norte is 6.5, 7 hours north of Marin. So this is not in the interest of California voters. Gavin Newsom, as the executive of the state, his primary goal should be to represent the people, all the voters in his state, irrespective of their political affiliation. Instead, he's turned California into a working area for the Democrat Party to keep them relevant in the national elections.
That's something that's been the hallmark of his entire tenure as governor, isn't it? Even through COVID or all the battles that happen before Proposition 50, Gavin Newsom has never regarded himself as the man who's supposed to look out for Californians. He has always looked at himself as a partisan warrior who's looking out for the interests of the Democratic Party. And if you're not part of that clique, not only is he not looking out for you, but he regards you as the enemy. And he really hasn't even been quiet about that or tried to hide that.
Well, he was first elected to office as the supervisor from the district in which I currently sit. And every single step that he's taken, every single move that he's made has been to the advantage of the Democrat Party, but more importantly, his higher purpose is to find himself in the White House. That is the only thing that matters to Gavin Newsom. You never hear him talking about what's best for Californians. It's always the next political fight that will help him to cling to or grab the next rung on the ladder of his political ambition. So that's what this is really all about. Even any fair-minded voter knows that there are people who have disagreements and have differences with them over political opinions, and the sensibilities of Plumas County are not the sensibilities of Tiburon, and that they should, be respected. So one of the things I hope is that message gets through to those people who recognize what's really happening here, and put California ahead of Gavin Newsom's political ambition.
Over the weekend, former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger was a guest on HBO's Real Time with Bill Maher. He spent a lot of time talking about Prop 50 in that interview. Here's part of what he had to say. Quote, "I think that Prop 50 is a big scam. And the reason why I'm saying that is because it says that we should fight Trump because he's a threat to democracy. But in the meantime, they want to go and tear up the Constitution in California, get rid of the independent commission that draws the district lines, and take the power away from the people and give it back to the politicians. I'm a Republican, but I'm not a Republican hack. I'm not a political hack. I don't serve the party. I always serve the people first. We cannot undo something and rip away the power that the people in California have and give it back to the politicians. We fought there for too long," end quote. What do you make of what Arnold had to say?
Well, I think, Arnold certainly served the interests of Californians, sometimes to the chagrin of the Republican Party in California. And I think he's got some credibility on this issue, and I'm glad to see that he's out there, pushing back on this. The state could change forever. The party that the Democrats constantly talk about, this is what democracy looks like in their protests, and are constantly fighting for democracy, overrode the voice of the electorate in 2010, which voted in this independent redistricting commission. And so I thought the protests this weekend that were no on Kings, Gavin Newsom, look the way Gavin Newsom behaved during COVID. If anybody acted as some sort of a tyrannical monarch, as a tyrannical king, it was Gavin Newsom. And Prop 50 is just another example of it. I thought it was ironic that you saw no on 50 spelled out by people on the beaches in San Francisco right next to yes on Prop 50. This is the most tyrannical move by a California governor since Gavin Newsom's behavior during COVID.
How much political punch do you think Arnold Schwarzenegger has left in California? Do you think people are paying attention to him?
I think they would if he were a bit more active about it. I mean, the Bill Maher interview was a good start, but it would be nice if the former governor would get out and do more shows like yours, more radio, more podcasts. That's sort of really, talk radio and the podcasts are really where the action's at these days. He could really move the needle, but unfortunately hasn't been as engaged as I'd like to see him. There's no direction or connection with him and the California GOP. He's doing his own thing. But if he happens to hear this, I'd urge him to be more engaged and more active.
Let's just say that Proposition 50 passes and Gavin Newsom gets his map. And Gavin Newsom wipes out all of the Republicans in California that he intends to wipe out, and the Republicans only hold 3 seats in the delegation. Do you think that he still benefits nationally from Proposition 50? And I say that because New York was the first state to redraw their lines after the census, and they drew in 3 more seats for the Democrats. And then Texas jumped in and said, okay, well, because of COVID, the population shifts have been much more dramatic than what the government told us they were. So we're going to redraw our lines and we're going to draw in 5 more seats for Republicans. Had the Democrats just let it end there, then it would have been a net Republican gain of 2 seats. But Gavin Newsom couldn't resist jumping in and coming up with Proposition 50 to compete with Texas, which then created an arms race, which caused states like Missouri and Indiana and Florida and Utah and others to jump in and say, okay, if Gavin Newsom's going to do it, so are we. And the Democrats have already gotten all the juice out of the squeeze from the states where they control everything. States like Massachusetts, states like Connecticut, where there are no Republicans in those delegations, Maine, Rhode Island. There's fewer places for them to go to redraw the lines so they can generate more seats for the Democratic Party in the House. Because of Gavin Newsom and because of the subsequent arms race, the Democrats could be looking at a scenario where they lose a double-digit amount of seats thanks to Gavin. So he could win the battle in California with Proposition 50 and lose the war if what he did created a scenario that caused the Democrats to not win back control of the House.
Yeah, that's right. Well, in this arms race, the Democrats will lose. Also, I want to mention something, too, that, in Texas, I think it was, Texas 23 and I believe 25 were affected by a case, Lulek versus Perry, which put Texas in violation of the Voting Rights Act. They had to address that issue, and they had so many Republicans move into the state that's just the way it worked out. But getting back to the arms race, this is a really bad thing for the Republic, not just the Republic of California, but for the Republic of the United States. We have people who are fighting the Electoral College, which helps keep states in the union, keeps us together, and by cementing the tribalness under which our current politics operates, by redistricting all over the map, it just makes things worse. And that's one of the things that I'm concerned about and worried about is for the future of the state, the future of the nation is, are we going to continue to have politics that that where we're just fighting along tribal lines. We're actually going to sit down and be able to converse with one another and settle our differences the way the founders intended. This is not what the founders intended, and the Republic has worked pretty well for nearly 250 years, and we're jeopardizing that now with moves like this.
What do you make of this election in the state of Virginia, where you have a candidate running for attorney general who tweeted really violent, nasty things about a Republican colleague, wanting to see that colleague and the children dead? And they were legitimate text messages. It wasn't something that was created by AI or a deep fake or anything of that nature. He's acknowledged that those text messages came from him. He has refused to drop out of the race. And that race looks to be neck and neck. And I was looking at some polling results over the weekend, and it appears that single women in particular are his biggest supporters, where they are all in with this guy, and none of this seems to bother them one bit. And you say to yourself, okay, many of them are mothers. Many of them, certainly their daughters. They're the people who I would assume claim to be very open-minded and tolerant and concerned about others. Yet this is the demographic that has the least amount of problems with something like that.
Yeah, well, it's funny. At the last fall California Republican Convention, I was asked to do an invocation for the opening of the board meeting, and I finished with on a lighter note by asking God to help us with single women, because Jesus, they're killing us. Yeah, I mean, single women are a problem. They have they have different interests, and they seem to have lost the thread, and are just problematic voters. And the Democrats like it that way. So when women are not defending or at least walking away from someone who threatened to kill children, by the way, didn't just say that he wanted the governor's kids dead once. He doubled down on it. After the person with whom he was texting asked him, "Are you sure this is the direction you want to go?" And he explained why he thought that they should be dead. He called them little fascists, and that's the situation we're in. And the fact that single women won't dismiss themselves or walk away from something like that is a really troubling sign. We have a single women voter problem in the United States, and it's really bad and created or at least galvanized and reinforced the tribalness of our electorate these days.
It's funny, when that video went viral at the Phillies game of the home run ball going into the stands, and the ball was on the ground, Dad picks it up, gives it to the kids, and then the Karen comes over and starts berating them and demanding the ball. I thought to myself, this is exactly the type of person who's voting for this guy. That woman right there.
Yeah, look, thank goodness in some ways for social media, because the social media is replete with Karens, misbehaving and being emblematic of the kinds of voters that prop up the Republican Party. And incidentally, that's the reason why they hate the president so much, is because despite what you think of his sometimes of his rhetoric, I like it, but he manages to wear you down with charm and with the level of decency that the Democrats actually hate, and it's broken down barriers and brought people from the Democrat Party that the Democrats can't lose, and God help them if we ever make progress with single women. But that's who they rely on right now. So the Democrats are going to continue to reinforce those women. You're going to see more of those stereotypes acting and behaving badly in public, I think, because that's what the Democrats want.
John Dennis, you can follow him on X at Real John Dennis. John, thanks so much for stopping by.
Always a pleasure, John. Thank you.
800-222-5222 is a telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And now that we've crossed the halfway point of today's show, if you want to continue listening after we sign off the air at 3, Randy, that's easy to do.
All you got to do is search for The John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's the Apple Podcasts app, iHeart, Spotify. Search for The John Phillips Show. Hit subscribe. You could download all the episodes. You could do a Google on the YouTube. You can get the free KABC app. You can get the free KSFO app. There are so many different ways to listen live to our radio stations and download all the podcasts. And, you know, we try to reach out to everybody out there. So we hope that you're enjoying the show if you're listening in the city of San Francisco. And we hope that you're enjoying the show if you're listening across the Bay Bridge in the city of Dumpy.
You know, this has really been an issue for the city of Dumpy. Excuse me.
And right now it's time to open up the California Crime Blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
Questions?
And the first edition today takes us to the city of Stockton,
where the mayor's house got shot at.
Oh, dear.
For more, here's CBS Sacramento.
The Stockton Police Department is investigating a shooting that took place right near the mayor's home.
Your reporter covering San Joaquin County, Charlie Lapastora, spoke with the mayor today about after her home got shot at this weekend.
Yeah, for Mayor Cristina Fugazi, she told me this hits home for her, quite literally. But
oh, my.
You got to remember, this is the Sacramento market. It's not as refined as the Bay Area or Los Angeles.
Now, I have to admit, that was quippy.
Yeah, for Mayor Cristina Fugazi, she told me this hits home for her, quite literally.
With the siren going off in the background.
But thankfully, her and her family are safe.
We had heard pop, 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 pop.
Oh, my.
That's not one shot. That's many.
We had heard pop, 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 pop. The dogs went crazy, thought it was fireworks, only to find out it was actually a shooting that had occurred.
It happened on Saturday morning, just before 2 a.m. Mayor Fugazi was asleep and her husband was up when a bullet went through the front bedroom window and lodged into their bedroom wall.
Whoa!
That is real close to home.
Thankfully, nobody was hurt.
A traumatic experience. Nobody in my household was hurt, but other people in our community have.
If that's a regular thing that happens in your neighborhood, how do you ever get a good night's sleep?
Now, wait, if she was targeted specifically.
She wasn't.
Okay, so this was just a random act of violence?
This was gang members shooting at each other.
Okay, because if she was the target, you would assume that that would be the lead story in just about every newscast in America after all the political violence that we've been living through.
I don't believe this was an orchestrated hit. This isn't like the associates of the Dongs that got into a gunfight with the guy that had the crooked printing operation up in Oakland. As far as we know, this was just gang member teenagers shooting at each other, and one of the bullets hit the mayor's house.
Great.
But other people in our community have. That's a traumatic experience. For me, again, it's a wake-up call that my conviction that public safety is the number one priority is...
Wait, this is how it is when public safety is your number one priority?
What would happen if it was number 10?
Is further solidified.
Mayor Fugazi's office says investigators believe it to be a gang-related incident unrelated to the mayor.
I'm not leaving...
You don't say.
Couldn't the mayor afford to live in a better part of town where there's, less flying bullets?
Look, I know if you're the mayor of Los Angeles, you make quite a nice salary. And if you're the mayor of San Francisco, you make a pretty nice salary, although Lurie definitely doesn't need it. But if you're the mayor of Stockton, what do you think they're getting paid?
Where's the mayor's residence in L.A.? Is that Hancock Park?
Yes, Getty House.
Okay, so that's a very nice, Tony part of Los Angeles.
The current mayor of Stockton earns a salary of $97,000 a year. You're not getting a nice house for that in California, even in Stockton.
No, No, you're going to live in a part of town where bullets are flying through the walls.
Now, you could argue if your local electeds are making a average salary like that, they have to live in the normal parts of town and have to deal with the normal parts of crime where they may change the way they're thinking when their house gets shot up. Our members of the city council in Los Angeles make $225,000 a year, so they can afford security.
Good point.
I'm not leaving my neighborhood. I'm not moving anytime soon.
Might want to think about it.
Yeah, I'd call a realtor real fast.
It goes to show that my commitment to public safety.
So if you're showing a house and the house has bullet holes in it, how exactly as a real estate agent are you supposed to just paint that one over?
Oh, no, they'll fix all the bullet holes when they do the staging.
Put a nice tree in front of it.
A cactus, whatever.
It goes to show that my commitment to public safety needs to elevate. And I need to support our men and women of the police department even more.
I reached out to Stockton Police, and Public Information Officer David Scott told me we aren't able to confirm if that incident is gang-related due to the ongoing investigation.
What do we think it is?
How many shootouts do they have in Stockton where they don't know which one this was?
But that is something that detectives will be looking into to develop the motive and why the shooting took place. Officer Scott told me they responded to the 100 block of Freeman Street, where a 17-year-old boy was shot and transported to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries.
Yeah, that's probably related.
At what time in the morning?
This was at 2 a.m.
Okay, so he's not coming back from Sunday school.
No.
Then, a short time later, an 18-year-old young man was also taken to a hospital with a non-life-threatening gunshot wound. Officers...
They get dumped off at the curb?
How many people are getting shot on random Saturday nights?
In the big cities of California, even the medium cities like Stockton, who do you think is filling up the emergency rooms at night? It's the gang members that took one in the gut.
I don't think probiotics is going to fix that problem.
Officers continued the investigation to where the mayor's home is, and the case is now in the hands of detectives. Now, Mayor Fugazi also told me she wants to reduce gun violence here in Stockton and wants to ensure law enforcement are fully staffed and have the exact resources that they need.
We'll see about that.
Yeah, call a realtor, lady.
Pop, 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 pop.
I know you have to live within the city limits, but you don't have to live there.
Pop, 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 pop.
So that's what's going on in Stockton. But Randy, it's time to reopen the blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
Questions?
And right now it's time to move on to the town of Dumpy.
What's going on in Dumpy today?
You know, this has really been an issue for the city of Dumpy. Excuse me.
I'll tell you what's going on in the city of Dumpy, formerly known as the city of Oakland, is that a long-time, well-regarded barbecue joint has been burglarized 5 times since 2023. And the last time I checked, 2023 wasn't that long ago.
How do you even buy insurance if you get robbed that often?
For more, here's Cron 4.
A very popular black-owned Oakland restaurant has been hit again by thieves. Everett and Jones Barbecue on MacArthur Boulevard was broken into Saturday. Good evening, everyone. That's our top story at 10. I'm Catherine Heenan. It is the 5th break-in since 2023. Cron 4's Michael Thomas.
Where's Henry Lee when you need him?
This is Catherine Heenan?
Yes.
Any relation to Bobby the Brain?
I don't think so. Let me just get my Oakland drop ready here.
It's happened yet again.
It is the 5th break-in since 2023. Cron 4's Michael Thomas talked to the family who owns that business.
This is the door that was smashed in over the weekend here at Everett and Jones. And while the glass is fixed now, the owners say what can't be fixed is a sense of security and feeling targeted. It happened at around 4 o'clock Saturday morning. Surveillance video shows 3.
You know, since we're not doing anything about crime, we've got all these security cameras. Can we at least upgrade the quality so they don't just sound like an explosion?
Everything sounds like someone signing off from the Tom Leykis show.
It happened at around 4 o'clock Saturday morning. Surveillance video shows 3 masked men smashing their way into Everett and Jones Barbecue on MacArthur Boulevard. Co-owner Nina Moore tells me it's their 5th break-in since 2023, and it's the 2nd one at this location since July.
They moved to a new location, and that didn't help.
Doesn't sound like it.
They did more damage than what they got. They didn't get anything. And it was just frustrating because we can't sleep at night because it keeps happening.
Once inside, the suspects hopped the counter, broke into the cash register, found no cash, and ran out.
Why does it sound like a fax machine?
I mean, if you know you're going to keep getting broken into, why pay for a new alarm? It's
That's
not like,
true.
It's not like even if it goes off, OPD is going to get there in time. They're short-staffed.
Then took off in a black SUV. Nothing was stolen, but Nina tells me fixing the door cost hundreds of dollars. And just last month, their Broadway Street location was also hit. Those 3 young men who are watching this, if you have any message for them?
Yeah, get a job. We're hiring.
I don't know if you really want them working for you.
No, you don't.
Typically, criminals, people who decide that they want to make their living by smashing and grabbing and taking what is not theirs, don't have the patience to sit at a pit and wait for a brisket to get to 205 degrees.
I understand why this woman has a hard time sleeping at night, though. If you ever have a sick relative, you're afraid to answer the phone at night because you know it's going to be bad news. But this woman doesn't even have a sick relative. She just knows that if the phone rings late at night, it's going to be someone robbing her store again.
Yeah, get a job. We're hiring.
In fact, they really are. When the thieves opened the cash drawer, they found job applications inside, but left them behind.
I don't know if that's the right strategy.
No.
They make sure the cash isn't in the register. Good. They decide to put a job application in the register thinking that the criminals will rethink their choices because they can be slinging some pulled pork for $17.50 an hour.
My guess is they weren't amused either.
In fact, they really are. When the thieves opened the cash drawer, they found job applications inside, but left them behind. I sat outside the business with Kathy Adams, president of the Oakland African American Chamber of Commerce. She says she's known the family for decades and says what happened here is part of a growing problem impacting small, long-lasting businesses citywide.
Wait, Barbara Lee keeps running around saying that crime is down in Oakland.
Oh, yeah. If you just understood the stats, you know that crime is in free fall.
Quite frankly, every time you rob somebody, you're making people not want to stay in business. You're making them say, you know what, I'm over it. Let's just shut it down.
And the thought of Everett and Jones closing is something customers say would be heartbreaking as they're part of the fabric of the community.
I really love this place. I come here a lot, so.
Thankfully, no one was hurt in the break-in, and the family says Oakland police arrived within minutes and are investigating, but so far, no arrests have been made. They say
you think with that alarm noise it would deter the criminals, but it does not.
It sounds like someone stole the fax machine.
They say for now, they're hoping for justice and a better tomorrow.
This is my neighborhood. I don't want to leave it, but it's getting costly. It is for us.
The family says they're not leaving Oakland, but they are done feeling hopeless. And when it comes to more protection.
So what are they going to do?
Get a dog? I don't know.
And when it comes to more protection, they're requesting that officials with the city start to have more patrolling around local businesses. Reporting in Oakland, Michael Thomas, KRON 4 News.
There you go. Legendary barbecue place in Oakland has had their locations burglarized 5 times in just the last year and a half.
And have you noticed that barbecue is one of the types of food that just can't be done right by a chain restaurant? It's the mom and pops that make the great barbecue. But if you ever go to a chain, you're just disappointed.
There's a certain level you can get if it's a chain that's out of Texas. But for the most part, yes, you need the time and the patience that only a mom and pop can give, because sometimes a quality brisket will take 24 hours.
800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. And if you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. Let's go to Sean in San Jose. Sean, hello.
Hey, so Everett and Jones, I've been going there for like 15 years. And I remember when they had the first break-in probably a year and a half or 2 years ago. They came back on the one night. They couldn't get the safe. They came back the next night, brought tools, and took it. It's just astonishing that they have this issue. The place has been around for over 50 years, the name. It's a well-established place. It's a good place to go. You want to go on a Saturday night. First Saturday is great for music and such. But, yeah, and it's people that probably have patronized the place, cased the place, and robbed the place.
And do it over and over and over again. How much do you want to bet each one of these 5 hits? It's probably the same group of people.
Absolutely.
And this is a scenario where the state has totally failed them. Because if you arrest these people and you throw them in prison, guess what? That's probably a thriving business because you took the people who continue to harass them out of the equation, and now they can sell their barbecue and people can go have a good time and everyone's happy. But if you don't make any arrests, and if you do arrest the people who are doing this, you don't do anything with them, you let them out of jail and you allow them to continue to victimize these people, then I don't see how this business stays afloat for the long term.
Absolutely. In fact, some of the times there have been problems there, and then they'll have the men in black shirts, black clothes show up, and they'll be on every street corner keeping an eye on stuff because they were doing smash and grabs and bipping the cars. So even the community tries to help out, but it's almost impossible to actually catch them. They even had the Eye in the Sky parked in the area at night where it's elevated to the second floor, and they're looking for stuff in the after hours.
As a consumer, have you changed your habits due to crime?
Absolutely. I look for broken glass. I have friends from Kenya. I take them and their friends from out of country on tours. And when we park places in San Francisco, the first thing I'm looking for is broken glass. And I find other places to park, and we walk where we want to go so the car is not in a vulnerable spot.
And for dinner, do you alter where you go eat because of crime?
Yes. I don't go as many places. I go to safe places.
And that's what a lot of people do, and you can't blame them because who wants to be robbed at gunpoint when they're eating their dinner? Who wants to have their car bipped when they park it so they can go inside the restaurant and enjoy their dinner? You got 1,000,001 problems in your life. Why should you have to worry about those things if you don't have to?
Absolutely. You have to figure out how to intuitively, completely be out of sync with the problem. So it's somewhere where you're somewhere and you're in a neutral zone versus where it's going on. It's just I can't believe how people don't get hit because I make a concerted effort to try and dodge these problems.
All right. Thank you for the call, sir. I appreciate it.
You know, I've been doing the last 5 minutes is just staring at Everett and Jones's brisket. Looks pretty solid.
Does former Oakland Mayor Sheng Thao have a response to that call?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And he said, absolutely. 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 And he said, absolutely.
That's what I thought.
We appreciate the call.